Sellers, you want to develop the kind of reputation from every buyer in the marketplace that buying from you is a first-class experience. After the closing, you want them to go home to dinner at night with their spouse and they talk about how good you were to work with. Make them feel like they're buying a brand new Porsche right off the showroom floor, because they know that what they just bought was one of the finest pieces of machinery or apartment complexes that money can buy. Stick around, we're going to talk about the importance of your actions during the marketing and especially the contract period with a buyer. Let's go! There's a number of things that go into developing a good reputation as a seller. A very simple one that's easy to do and goes a long way is how you care for that property during the marketing and contract period. Are you the kind of seller that spends as absolutely little as possible over the marketing and contract period because you feel like it's a waste of money because it's going to be sold in the next 90 days? Or are you the kind of seller that goes above and beyond to care for that asset because the reputational benefits will spread throughout the multifamily world and greatly benefit you long term? Remember, there are lots of buyers looking at your property during the sale process, and there's one of them that goes to contract with you. Those same buyers are sellers of other assets in the future that you could have a crack at. If they remember you as the seller that cut corners during the process and only did just enough to get it across closing, they're going to remember that if you're bidding on one of their assets in the future on a multiple offer situation. Not to mention the broker or brokers involved in your transaction aren't going to be talking you up as a buyer on the next deal. There are some easy things I've recognized elite sellers can do during the marketing and contract period to build a killer reputation. During the marketing and contract period, the cost of doing necessary repairs or replacements or keeping the property in tip-top shape is really small as a percentage of the overall deal. But the payback is huge from a reputational perspective. So here's a list of some of the things that I think could really build your reputation as a seller. And some of these things could be done before the marketing process even begins. Make sure your entry sign looks its best. Maybe it needs a fresh paint or new annual flowers around it. Tell your on-site maintenance people that trash needs to be picked up on the property every day, a couple of times a day. We don't want to just make the property perfect when we think the buyer or buyers are coming by or when the inspections are when you're under contract. We want it to be perfect all the time at any time of the day, because you never know, especially during the marketing process, when buyers or their investors may be driving by the outside or driving through the property. For the dumpsters, schedule extra pickups if you know there's going to be a big move-out day. And any furniture that may be laying around outside the dumpster, haul that thing off ASAP on the same day. Obviously, make sure the clubhouse and common areas are always clean and fresh and smell good, and the windows are nice and clean when you look through them. Be a pressure washing monster. Buildings, sidewalks, playgrounds, pool decks, always making sure everything is shining. On the landscape side, fresh mulch goes a long way. Also, pulling the weeds from the bottom. We all know a lot of these landscapers come through and just hedge the top, but every 2 days you have these sprouts coming up and it makes it look bad. Also, lifting canopies on trees around the property at least 8 or 9 feet and making sure no trees are hanging over the tops of buildings, because that's going to scare the buyer and their insurer. Do a building by building walk on the outside to make sure there's not huge wasp nests at the entries, the doors, or up in the soffits, that there's no big holes in the soffits or holes in the side of the building. You're looking for things that you would look for when you're buying. One that always comes to my mind when I'm walking around are busted up curbs all over the place. You can tell when curbs have been busted for a long time, which is a sign that that owner has not been maintaining the entire property the way it should. Laundry rooms. Woo! I have seen some ugly laundry rooms during the marketing process. Obviously, make sure they're swept, cleaned, dusted, things removed, old cleaning products laying around, garbage is dumped, the windows clean. Laundry rooms are the rooms where our clothes that go on our bodies are washed, and that area should be perfect. Obviously, the model should be in excellent condition, but I've seen so many units where either appliances or drawers or cabinets are missing because they're filling another vacancy that had a move-in coming right up. Please keep your pool clean. Frequent cleanings, even if it's a couple times a day, especially for those that don't have screens and have lots of trees around. Now, by marketing time, it's too late to repave your parking lot, but doing striping and painting curbs can go a long way for not that much of a cost. Now, the number one tip I can give you of this entire list is the following: making necessary repairs and, most importantly, replacements during the marketing and contract period. Too often, especially during the contract period, I've seen sellers who needed to make an air conditioning replacement for the clubhouse put it off because they wanted to save the $15,000 or $20,000. So they keep it alive by replacing small components. Or a pool pump dies, or termites are found in one of the buildings. Use these opportunities to really build your reputation. As the investor, you would have most likely made the necessary replacements if you were continuing to own it. I have been fortunate enough to work with several really good sellers that will go as far as to make the necessary replacements when they could have done just little repairs to keep it alive just enough past closing, and they'll actually take pictures of the work they've done and want me to forward it to the buyers to show them how they're taking care of that asset while it's in their care. That seller uses these little things that come up during a contract period as opportunities to build the reputation. They know the cost of doing most of these replacements or necessary repairs, again, are very, very small percentage of the price. Especially in situations when the buyer would have never even found out whether repair or replacement was needed. Elite sellers take those opportunities and highlight them, takes pictures, videos, forwards it to me as a broker so that I can then send it to the buyer and their investors and their inspectors to show, hey, look what this seller did. That builds tremendous trust among that buyer that the seller is being a good steward of the asset while it's in their care before the buyer takes it on. This all goes back to empathy and doing what you would want others to do for you. On the flip side, I've been part of transactions where post-closing the buyer calls me up about all sorts of things that should have been taken care of during that small period of time. So did the seller get away with $10,000, $50,000, or $75,000 in replacements? Yeah, but is that going to hurt them a lot more than that over a long period of time? Probably. As I mentioned earlier, the key to this process is daily maintaining the asset in excellent care during the marketing and contract period. Apartment complexes are large assets. It's not like you're selling your personal home where in 1 hour when the buyer's coming to view your place, you can go around tidying up things. That doesn't happen on 150 units and 17 acres. You just don't want to give the buyer any reason to doubt that your asset is not in excellent shape. For those of you that are into cars, when a buyer sees the seller of an exotic vehicle has maintained it really well, kept all the records, done all the repairs, the necessary recalls, and then delivers that vehicle to the buyer washed, waxed, and in operational condition to the T, that buyer is going to spread the word about that seller to everyone in that car culture. Hopefully this video brought you some value, and if it did, please give me a like right down below and a subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you can get my video once a week. See y'all on the next one.